All right, y'all. Shabbat shalom to everybody entering the room. So glad you're here. We're going to finish up the Exodus. Now, there was a lot to learn out of this. Now, where we left off on chapter 34 is when Moses went up to the mountain and he was given the 10 commandments. Now, when he came back down from the mountain after seeing the Most High, he had a glow about his face. And remember, his hair turned white and he had a glow, and it scared the Israelites because they never seen that sort of thing happen before. So when Moses spoke to them,
he had to keep a veil over his face whenever he spoke with them. And then when he went back up to the Most High, he removed the veil. So we're going to pick up with chapter 35. Now I'm going to make this full screen. Now, when I make it full screen, I'm not going to be able to see my computer screen. So again, Shabbat Shalom to all of you that are entering the room right now. I am grateful to be able to spend my Shabbats with you, and we can all study this text together. It's a beautiful book because this is where a lot of our laws came out of the Exodus, a lot of our holy holidays, Feast of the Week, first fruits, Passover, all came out of the Exodus. And it's so many things to love. Our 10 Commandments came out. This is a very important part of our Hebrew lives. And remember, all of these holy holidays will be things we'll be celebrating forever. So even beyond this Gentile world and to eternity, we will be doing these holidays that were established during the Exodus. So let's go ahead and get started. I have to share my screen with you. All right. All right, so we're picking up with Exodus 35. That's where we left off.
5. And Moses gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together, and said unto them, These are the words which the Lord hath commanded, that ye should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day there shall be to you an holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. And Moses spake unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which the Lord commanded, saying, Take ye from among you an offering unto the Lord. Whosoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it, an offering of the Lord, gold and silver and brass, and blue and purple and scarlet, and fine linen and goat's hair, and ram's skins dyed red, and badger's skins, and shittim wood, and oil for the light, and spices for anointing oil, and for the sweet incense, and onyx stones, and stones to be set for the ephod, and for the breastplate. And every wise-hearted among you shall come, and make all that the Lord hath commanded, the tabernacle, his tent, and his covering, his tacks and his boards, his bars, his pillars, and his sockets, the ark, and the staves thereof, with the mercy seat, and the veil of the covering, the table and his staves, and all his vessels, and the showbread, the candlesticks also for the light, and his furniture, and his lamps, with the oil for the light, and the incense altar, and his staves, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging for the door at the entering in of the tabernacle, the altar of burnt offering, with his brazen grate, his staves, and all his vessels, the laver and his foot, the hangings of the court, his pillars and their sockets, and the hanging for the door of the court, the pins of the tabernacle, and the pins of the court, and their cords, the cloths of service, to do service in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons to minister in the priest's office. And all the congregation of the children of Israel departed from the presence of Moses. And they came, everyone whose heart stirred him up, and everyone whom his spirit made willing. And they brought the Lord's offering to the work of the tabernacle of the congregation, and for all his service, and for the holy garments. And they came, both men and women, as many as were willing-hearted, and brought bracelets and earrings and rings and tablets, all jewels of gold. And every man that offered an offering of gold unto the Lord. And every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and red skins of rams, and badger skins, brought them. Every one that did offer an offering of silver and brass brought the Lord's offering. And every man with whom was found shittim wood for any work of the service brought it. And all the women that were wise-hearted did spin with their hands, and brought that which they had spun, both of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine linen. And all the women whose heart stirred them up in wisdom spun goat's hair. And the rulers brought onyx stones, and stones to be set for the ephod, and for the breastplate, and spice, and oil for the light, and for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense. The children of Israel brought a willing offering unto the Lord, every man and woman, whose heart made them willing to bring for all manner of work, which the Lord had commanded to be made by the hand of Moses. And Moses said unto the children of Israel, See, the Lord hath called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And he hath filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship, and to devise curious works, to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in the cutting of stones, to set them, and in carving of wood, to make any manner of cunning work. And he hath put in his heart that he may teach, both he and Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan. Them he hath filled with wisdom of heart, to work all manner of work, of the engraver, and of the cunning workman, and of the embroiderer, in blue, and in purple, in scarlet, and in fine linen, and of the weaver, even of them that do any work, and of those that devise cunning work. Exodus 36. Then wrought Bezaleel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man, in whom the Lord put wisdom and understanding, to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that the Lord had commanded. And Moses called Bezaleel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man, in whose heart the Lord had put wisdom, even every one whose heart stirred him up to come unto the work to do it. And they received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, to make it withal. And they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning. And all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. And they spake unto Moses, saying, The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which the Lord commanded to make. And Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, Let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing. For the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. And every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet. With cherubims of cunning work made he them. The length of one curtain was 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. The curtains were all of one size. And he coupled the 5 curtains unto one another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one unto another. And he made loops of blue on the edge of one curtain, from the selvage in the coupling. Likewise he made in the uttermost side of another curtain, in the coupling of the second. 50 loops made he in one curtain, and 50 loops made he in the edge of the curtain which was in the coupling of the second. The loops held one curtain to another. And he made 50 tacks of gold, and coupled the curtains one unto another with the tacks. So it became one tabernacle. And he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent over the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. The length of one curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits was the breadth of one curtain. The 11 curtains were of one size. And he coupled 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops upon the uttermost edge of the curtain in the coupling, and 50 loops made he upon the edge of the curtain which coupleth the second. And he made 50 tacks of brass to couple the tent together, that it might be one. And he made a covering for the tent of rams' skins dyed red, and a covering of badgers' skins above that. And he made boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood, standing up. The length of a board was 10 cubits, and the breadth of a board was 1 cubit and a half. One board had 2 tenons, equally distant one from another. Thus did he make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side southward, and 40 sockets of silver he made under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the other side of the tabernacle, which is toward the north corner, he made 20 boards. And there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward, he made 6 boards. And 2 boards made he for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they were coupled beneath, and coupled together at the head thereof, to one ring. Thus he did to both of them in both the corners. And there were 8 boards, and their sockets were 16 sockets of silver, under every board 2 sockets. And he made bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle for the sides westward. And he made the middle bar to shoot through the boards from the one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and made their rings of gold to be places for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, with cherubims made he it of cunning work. And he made thereunto 4 pillars of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold, and he cast for them 4 sockets of silver. And he made an hanging for the tabernacle door of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen of needlework. And the 5 pillars of it with their hooks, and he overlaid their chapiters and their fillets with gold, but their 5 sockets were of brass. Exodus 37. And Bezaleel made the ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth of it, and 1 cubit and a half the height of it. And he overlaid it with pure gold within and without, and made a crown of gold to it round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, to be set by the 4 corners of it, even 2 rings upon the one side of it, and 2 rings upon the other side of it. And he made staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, to bear the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And he made 2 cherubims of gold, beaten out of one piece made he them, on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub on the end on this side, and another cherub on the other end on that side. Out of the mercy seat made he the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubims spread out their wings on high, and covered with their wings over the mercy seat, with their faces one to another. Even to the mercy seatward were the faces of the cherubims. And he made the table of shittim wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, and 1 cubit the breadth thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereunto a crown of gold round about. Also he made thereunto a border of an handbreadth round about, and made a crown of gold for the border thereof round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings upon the 4 corners that were in the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border were the rings, the places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold, to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, his dishes, and his spoons, and his bowls, and his covers to cover withal, of pure gold. And he made the candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work made he the candlestick, his shaft, and his branch, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers were of the same. And 6 branches going out of the sides thereof, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. 3 bowls made after the fashion of almonds in one branch, a knop and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almonds in another branch, a knop and a flower, so throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick were 4 bowls made like almonds, his knops and his flowers. and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Their knops and their branches were of the same. All of it was one beaten work of pure gold. And he made his 7 lamps, and his snuffers, and his snuff dishes of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it, and all the vessels thereof. And he made the incense altar of shittim wood. The length of it was a cubit, and the breadth of it a cubit. It was 4 square, and 2 cubits was the height of it. The horns thereof were of the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it, and the sides thereof round about, and the horns of it. Also he made unto it a crown of gold round about. And he made 2 rings of gold for it under the crown thereof, by the 2 corners of it, upon the 2 sides thereof, to be places for the staves to bear it withal. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil, and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the apothecary. Exodus 38. And he made the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horns thereof on the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, and the shovels, and the basins, and the fleshhooks, and the fire pans. All the vessels thereof made he of brass. And he made for the altar a brazen grate of network, under the compass thereof, beneath unto the midst of it. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass, to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar, to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. And he made the laver of brass, and the foot of it of brass, of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he made the court on the south side southward. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their brazen sockets 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the east side eastward 50 cubits. The hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. And the sockets for the pillars were of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters of silver. And all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. And the hanging for the gate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And 20 cubits was the length, and the height in the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters and their fillets of silver. And all the pins of the tabernacle and of the court round about were of brass. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted, according to the commandment of Moses, for the service of the Levites, by the hand of Itamar, son to Aaron the priest. And Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And with him was Aholiab, son of Ahishamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and a cunning workman, and an embroiderer in blue, and in purple, and in scarlet, and fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work in all the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,760 and 15 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. a bekah for every man, that is, half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone that went to be numbered, from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. And of the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, and 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid their chapiters, and filleted them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents, and 2,400 shekels. And therewith he made the sockets to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Exodus 39. And of the blue and purple and scarlet they made cloths of surface, to do service in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the ephod of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And they did beat the gold into thin plates, and cut it into wires, to work it in the blue, and in the purple, and in the scarlet, and in the fine linen, with cunning work. They made shoulder pieces for it, to couple it together. By the 2 edges was it coupled together. And the curious girdle of his ephod that was upon it was of the same, according to the work thereof, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they wrought onyx stones enclosed in arches of gold, graven as signets are graven, with the names of the children of Israel. And he put them on the shoulders of the ephod, that they should be stones for a memorial to the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the breastplate of cunning work, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. It was 4 square. They made the breastplate double. A span was the length thereof, and a span the breadth thereof, being doubled. And they set in it 4 rows of stones. The first row was a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This was the first row. And the second row, an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They were enclosed in arches of gold in their enclosings. And the stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12, according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, every one with his name, according to the 12 tribes. And they made upon the breastplate chains at the ends, of wreathen work of pure gold. And they made 2 arches of gold, and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate. And the 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they fastened in the 2 arches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, upon the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod inward. And they made 2 other golden rings, and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forepart of it, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they did bind the breastplate by his rings unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loosed from the ephod, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue. And there was an hole in the midst of the robe, as the hole of an habergeon, with a band round about the hole, that it should not rend. And they made upon the hems of the robe pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet and twined linen. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates upon the hem of the robe, round about between the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, round about the hem of the robe, to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they made coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron and for his sons, and a mitre of fine linen, and goodly bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen, and a girdle of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet of needlework, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it a writing, like to the engravings of a signet, Holiness to the Lord. And they tied unto it a lace of blue, to fasten it on high upon the mitre, as the Lord commanded Moses. Thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So did they. And they brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent, and all his furniture, his tacks, his boards, his bars, and his pillars, and his sockets, and the covering of ram skins dyed red, and the covering of badger skins, and the veil of the covering, the ark of the testimony, and the staves thereof, and the mercy seat, the table, and all the vessels thereof, and the showbread, the pure candlestick, with the lamps thereof, even with the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and the oil for light, and the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging for the tabernacle door, the brazen altar, and his grate of brass, his staves, and all his vessels, the laver and his foot, the hangings of the court, his pillars and his sockets, and the hanging for the court gate, his cords and his pins, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of the congregation, the cloths of service to do service in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and his sons' garments to minister in the priest's office, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So the children of Israel made all the work. And Moses did look upon all the work, and behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded. Even so had they done it, and Moses blessed them. Exodus 40. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, On the first day of the first month shalt thou set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil. And thou shalt bring in the table, and set in order the things that are to be set in order upon it. And thou shalt bring in the candlestick, and light the lamps thereof. And thou shalt set the altar of gold for the incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the hanging of the door to the tabernacle. And thou shalt set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. And thou shalt set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and shalt put water therein. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up the hanging at the court gate. And thou shalt take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle, and all that is therein, and shalt hallow it, and all the vessels thereof, and it shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint the altar of the burnt offering, and all his vessels, and sanctify the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. And thou shalt anoint the laver and his foot, and sanctify it. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and wash them with water. And thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them with coats. And thou shalt anoint them, as thou didst anoint their father, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. For their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. Thus did Moses, according to all that the Lord commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass in the first month in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. And Moses reared up the tabernacle, and fastened his sockets, and set up the boards thereof, and put in the bars thereof, and reared up his pillars. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above upon it, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark, and put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the table in the tent of the congregation, upon the side of the tabernacle northward, without the veil. And he set the bread in order upon it before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation, over against the table, on the side of the tabernacle southward. And he lighted the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the golden altar in the tent of the congregation before the veil, and he burnt sweet incense thereon, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he set up the hanging at the door of the tabernacle, and he put the altar of burnt offering by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offered upon it the burnt offering and the meat offering, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water there to wash withal. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat. When they went into the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar, they washed, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he reared up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar, and set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon. And the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel, throughout all their journeys.
All right. So we just got through all of the Exodus. So we're going to pick up next week with the book of Numbers, because that's where it picks up from the Exodus. So this was, like I said, I love this book. You see, our biggest holy holidays came out of the Exodus. The building of the Ark of the Covenant came from the Exodus. Now, there are people that claim they know where it is, but nobody has ever shown it. So I'm always skeptical about that stuff when people claim they have something. And you also see that the Shabbat came out of the Exodus. So it is a very important book. It really is. And then when we get into the book of Numbers, this is where you are going to see Moses will finally pass away. And remember, the Most High takes his body and hides it so that nobody can ever dig him up or desecrate his body. So Moses did die, but he's hidden away. And then Joshua takes over. And Joshua is actually from the tribe of Ephraim. And he will take over leadership when Moses passes away. Well, the Most High knows where it is. He knows where the body of Moses is. Nobody else knows where it is. And that's the way he wanted it. He did not want someone to dig him up and desecrate his body, or do what these folks love to do, put stuff on display, in a museum. No, he didn't want Moses' body to end up like that. Because, that's what these idiots do. They just can't leave well enough alone. But the Exodus is a beautiful book. It's a story that I never get tired of hearing. How awesome is it that the Father is protecting you and dwelling with you the whole time? I would die for that. Are you kidding me? I mean, our forefathers had it made. All they had to do was do his will and get through those 40 years out in the desert. They would have had their own land. They would have had it made. But unfortunately, they were stiff-necked and hard-headed even back then, and that's why many of them did not make it. Those folks are not even going to come back. They're gone. They're gone. They're not coming back ever. Not those forefathers that were out in the desert. And, I had another slideshow that I was going to show you of some more artifacts and things that are out there in the Saudi Arabian desert, but for some reason my presentation would not download. So I'll work on that and fix it. And if I can get it up and running again, or I might have to just do it over, I'll just post it. And that way you can just watch it on your own. Yeah, Tomb Raiders. And you know what? That's an abomination. You're not supposed to desecrate or dig up dead bodies like that. So everything these people do in this world, SMAC, is an abomination. It really is. They dig up our forefathers and then make a fortune on it. You know, and that's not the way it should be. You don't disturb our people that have passed on. You know, not like that. Yes, it is unclean. And remember, a lot of people were buried, especially the Hebrew kings. They were all buried with jewels and some of their possessions. And over in Israel, the chambers are there. I think it's like 37 different chambers for kings, and every king is gone. Every king body was desecrated and removed. So there is no Hebrew king body or jewels or anything that was left behind. It was all robbed. Grave robbers went in there and took every last one of them. So you can clearly see why the Most High did not want that to happen to Moses. He knows what these people do. They would have just took that body and put it in a museum and then make all kinds of money with people going by just gawking at it. And, you know, no, that is not something that we do. Well, yeah, I mean, sure, they're going to always touch unclean things, especially if they think there's some money in it. These people don't have no damn shame. Now, I did see someone wanted to become a moderator. I could not mod you at the time. No one, you know, number one, we were still into the Exodus, and I had my computer on full screen, and I was watching on my phone, but unfortunately, the mobile app does not allow you to mod people. So it's something YouTube need to add that feature. They need to add that feature. Right now, it's not there. So anybody that wants to become a moderator, please let me know right now and I will mod you. I just couldn't do it during the playing of the Exodus. Anybody want to become a moderator that's not a moderator, just please let me know now. Okay. Well, there's always another time. Now, this week I did not get to do my commentary. Okay, let me mod you right now. No problem. All right, you're a moderator, T. Thomas. I did not get to do my commentary this week. So tomorrow I'll be doing, you know, some of the topics that I did want to talk about. So we'll do that in a panel tomorrow. I'll set up another live stream. You know, I've been doing it mostly on the weekend. I haven't been doing too many. No problem. Anybody else that wants to be a moderator, please, you know, just let me know. I haven't been doing too many during the week because it seems like a lot of the people are available on the weekend. So, you know, that being the case, then I don't care if I do, you know, a few hangouts on the weekend. I have no issue with that. Not at all. Especially if more of you can come. Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's kind of nice. You know, I'm not going to deny it. It would be nice to be in a country where everybody is black, and because it eliminates all the racism and all the stuff that we deal with here. You know, when you go over there, nobody's going to call the cops on you because you're just standing there doing nothing, and nobody's going to go over the top and call you suspicious or tell you you don't belong somewhere. All of that stuff is eliminated. So I can definitely appreciate that feeling. It's something that we have not felt in 5 centuries here. So, yeah, going to Africa and experiencing the culture and seeing how different it is. Africa, just like every place, got its problem. But one thing you don't have to do is get up and deal with all of the nonsense that we're faced with right now. So, yeah, I can definitely understand why, he would feel that way. It is nice. It is nice. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to live there. I was looking even in Kenya where Dr. Mumbi is. You can get a mansion. Do you guys know you can get a mansion for $200,000? $200,000, and you can get a mansion that look just like those out in Hollywood that they're charging $27 million for. All you need is $200,000 and you can get a mansion out there. Or I think you can rent one for like $2,000 a month or $3,000 a month. You can rent one if you want. I mean, the cost of living is just so much cheaper than it is here. So I tell you what, I sure would not mind a change every now and then. If I went to Africa, I'm staying for at least a few months. That's what I would do before coming back. I would never, I don't think, spending a week there, I don't think that would be enough. I would like to spend at least 2 to 3 months just being in Africa and getting used to the climate and everything. That would be so nice. Now, there is a South African brother that is subscribed to my channel, and I just want to bring this to your attention. You might actually start hearing this more and more. Many Black South Africans on here on YouTube are being heavily trolled and harassed, and it's over the land expropriation that's going on in South Africa. So a lot of trolls are going after the African, the Black South Africans on YouTube, and they are, flagging them, and they're losing their channels. And it seemed to be exceptionally bad over this weekend. I had a few people from South Africa reach out to me to let me know what was going on. So, the effects of it is being felt on YouTube. But, like I told them, keep your head up and keep posting your videos. And there is one person that sent me a link, and I'll get into that really tomorrow when I get, when we do a hangout tomorrow and I get set up and I have a link to his Facebook account, and I will share that with everybody so you can throw your support behind him. It's just been rough. You know how it is here in America. We face this all the time. People are targeting and flagging us constantly. And now our South African family, they are being flagged and harassed all on YouTube. I mean, and it's a shame. Yeah, they are. That land is going to go back to the rightful owner, as it should. They did not buy the land. They can't produce a deed. They can't show anything where they bought or purchased that land fair and square. So yes, they need to get off of the land. In fact, they need to get off of the land all across the globe. South Africa is just one part of it, but all across this globe where land was stolen, they really need to get out of every place that was stolen. And that's really the bottom line. Yeah, it's a shame, but it's to be expected. Seriously, it's to be expected. Well, it never stopped here in America. when when did we ever have peace in America? See, that's why these folks are not our future. They can talk all that we can't live without them bull all they want. They are not the future. The future is not racism. Racism is the thing of the past, and that's where it should remain, in the past as we move forward. There's no future in this life. None. It needs to die. Who the hell wants to move forward in the next century with racism? No one. I don't think anybody on this earth wants that, other than the people that are perpetuating it, and they're dying out. So, so there you go. A high hood mistress. So, yeah, so do I, Barbara Hartman. I pray every day for it too. I really think that many of us have reached our boiling point. We've had enough. We're ready to part out of here. But unfortunately, there's still a few more things that must come to pass before we're at that point. But we're definitely at the end. There's no doubt about it. And these folks know it too. That's why they're acting out and acting so crazy and doing all this nutty stuff, like calling the cops on you for doing nothing. And in fact, our brother Guru, one tried to get him, and he whipped out his phone and told them straight to their face, you know what? Many people like you have done this. And he told them, you go ahead and call the police. I promise you, this video is going online. It's going to go viral, and you're going to lose your job. And did you know, as soon as he said that, the person took off and left? But see, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. You got to tell them, look, you can go ahead and call the cops, but this video is going online. It's going to go viral, and you're going to lose your job. And I said, that's exactly what you do. That's exactly what you do. See, they sized him up and thought he was going to be some little wuss. They could get away with calling the police on him, and, and he wasn't going to do nothing, but he sure showed them. And that's what you have to do. And you saw the video that I recently uploaded today with the Asian woman followed the guy several blocks begging him to delete the video. I tell you what, once I capture your ass on video calling the cops or even making a threat to call the cops, that shit is going online, okay? It's going on every one of my social media accounts, every single one. Everyone. And that's what you do. I don't know. I must have a certain persona about myself, because these folks don't even think about doing that to me out in public. They don't come near me like that. But then again, I don't smile at them, and I don't make small talk with them. I don't do none of that stuff. And that's probably why they pretty much leave me alone. I can be out in public and look very unfriendly. So they don't bother me. And we just got to be prepared at all times. These folks are nutty. They are losing a lot of their credibility in the world. The world don't see them the same way. And remember, the Most High said they would start saying things and people would look at them with the side eye, and we can see that's happening now. They don't have the same credibility that they had in the world even 20 years ago. Things are definitely changing, and it's got to change. All of these changes got to work. And I've been hearing all the talk about impeaching Donald Trump. Nah, let Donald Trump stay right where he is, because nobody is going to take America out faster than him. Leave him alone. Absolutely, King Hebrew. Time is definitely up. See, they are scared over South Africa. They know when those white people lose their land, they're scared it's going to start happening all over the globe where people are going to be demanding their stuff back. And that's what it is. They are petrified that folks are going to start making demands. Give me I want my land back. You see, the Benin is asking for all of their possessions that are in museums in France and Germany and the UK. They're asking for their possessions back. And that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, y'all. It's going to get bigger. You know, people are not playing. They're not joking. They want their stuff back. They want what's entitled. They're entitled to. And these folks have gone all over the globe stealing. People want their shit back. And yeah, you know what? Speaking of Russia, Benin even approached Russia and said, we want our stuff back. And Russia has refused. But that's okay. They're going to wear them out. They're going to have to give it back. Judgment is on all of these nations. It's on every last one, y'all. All right. Judgment is on all of these nations. Whether they like it or not, the more they resist not returning things that are stolen, the worse it's going to get for them. And Russia, by the way, is going through another really big recession. So you can see they can't run their country no more than they can run it good here in America. There's not a decade that don't go by when we don't go through a recession. And that is because, we are Prince of Power. Yes, you can be modded. There's no decade that goes by where we don't see some type of financial crisis. And that right there should show you these folks don't know how to run a damn thing. They can talk all that stuff all they want. They really, truly do not know how to run anything. They know how to run it in the ground, but that's about it. And you can see the same cases in Russia. If you were really good at running things, we should not be going through a kabillion recessions all the time or some kind of financial meltdown every decade. And that's what we do. Every single decade, we have gone through, we have been hit with some type of financial problem in the country. And that right there shows you these folks are really inadequate. They just know how to put on a good game, trying to pretend like they know how to do things better than everyone else, which is false. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, just like South Africa, now that they realize they're losing their land, they're using all this scare tale. Who's gonna feed you? How you gonna eat? You're gonna eat just like you did before they showed up. Okay? These folks don't make or break us. Never forget that. Never forget that. Every time we were able to stand on our feet, what did they do? They came along to sabotage us because they know you can do it. And see, they'll be heartbroken when they can see that everybody will be able to stand just fine without them. They are not needed, nor will they ever be needed. I don't, you know, how the hell does somebody that burns up out in the sun and can't even maintain their own farm? Okay, because like I said, there's no sunscreen on the shelf they can put on and be out in that baking hot sun doing all that farm work, and they won't burn up. Okay, yeah, you may own the farm, but you can't maintain it. You can't take care of what you are, you know, what you stole. You can't take care of it. You know, how the hell do you own all the land and you can't even maintain the land? Everybody else with color in their skin can maintain the land, but you own it and you can't. You know, it's just like sports, right? They own all the teams, but they can't get their asses out on a football field or basketball court and play the sport, but they own the teams. You know, you got to see beyond the bullshit. You really do. The Most High did not create inferior people. Okay, he didn't do that. The people he created are the best on earth. Why would he make us anywhere less than being the absolute dominant ones on the planet? So we're not fooled by the brainwashing. It's a lot of brainwashing going on. But those of us that are awake, we ain't falling for the BS anymore. Nobody's falling for it. Absolutely. The salt of the earth, and we always will be. We always will be. We're the smartest, the strongest, we're the greatest people to ever live, y'all. And that is the truth. We are the greatest people to ever live. And all of these other folks, they're just a bunch of hybrids. They did not get the breath of life from the Most High. We got the breath of life. They didn't. So how are they greater than us? It's impossible for them to be greater than us. You mean to tell me something that the fallen angels made is better than the ones that got the breath of life from the Most High? Never. Never could happen. Never could happen. Yes, we are. Okay. And we will be the greatest. Again, we still are the greatest. We still are. They can't do nothing without us. Okay. Always look at the pattern. When the South collapsed, it's because our people walked off of those slave fields and we left. They went through a famine. They couldn't get back on their feet. They needed all kinds of help from the North and everybody to get the South back on its feet. They sure couldn't do it all by themselves. And you see, when they didn't have the slaves to lean on, they starved to death. They died. So don't tell me we need them. That's a load of garbage. And the sad part is we let them get away with saying that garbage for far too long. And it's simply not true. Why would we need somebody that has no history beyond the cave? Why would we need them? Get out of here. We don't need them. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad we finished the Exodus. And next week we will continue on through the book of Numbers, because that's the continuation from the book of Exodus. So I want to thank you all for coming. It's always nice to be with family on the Shabbat. And we'll definitely be doing this again. I think Numbers is close to 3 hours. So we'll do like an hour and a half and then another hour and a half the following week to get through that. And then we'll get through Leviticus. I think going over the dietary laws is another very important part of, you know, the things that we need to understand. You know, I had a Hebrew ask me, can I eat rabbit? No, you can't eat anything with paws. If it's got a paw, no, you can't eat anything with a paw, family. Even if you love rabbit, you're not supposed to eat anything with a paw. But until tomorrow for our regular live stream, I will see you then. But please enjoy the rest of your Shabbat, ladies and gentlemen. Love you, family. Shabbat shalom.